Paryushan, everybody. Like Bhuvni said, my name is Karima, and today I will be presenting on the four types of Daan, or the four types of charity that we have in Jainism. So the four types of Daan are Ahar Daan, which is giving food, Aushadh Daan, which is giving medicine, Shastra Daan, which is giving knowledge, and Abhay Daan, which is giving shelter. And all throughout different Jain stories and different Jain history that you've read, there's examples of all of these dans. But today, the type of dan that I'm going to focus on is Abhay Dan, or giving shelter. And when we say giving shelter, it doesn't just mean like giving somebody like shelter in the form of like a house or a place of living, but also means giving shelter to beings from being fearful. And a really good story to illustrate this is the story of King Meghrat. So the story of King Meghrat is actually a story of Bhagwan Shantinath in one of his previous lives. In this lives, in Indra's court in Devlok or in heaven, there was two demigods, two devtas, arguing about whether or not there were any merciful kings on earth. And the way they decided to settle this is one of the devtas, or one of the heavenly gods, became a hawk, and the other took the form of a pigeon. And they flew into King Meghrat's court while he was holding session. And the pigeon flew in through an open window and started circling the hall and landed on the king's lap. And the king realized the pigeon had come there out of fear. At the very next instant, the hawk that flew into the court and told the king that that pigeon is my prey. I need to eat him. Can I have the pigeon? King Meghrat was struck by the fact that the birds could talk, but he replied with, "While it's true that the pigeon is your prey, I cannot give it to you. I can give you some other food." So King Meghrat tried ordering his servants to give sweets. But the hawk said he is not vegetarian, he needs flesh for food. So what King Meghrat did is, instead of giving away the pigeon, he said that he would cut his own flesh in the total, equaling the total amount of weight that the pigeon weighed. So if you see the picture on like the right side of the screen here, you can see King Meghrat doing exactly that. He's cutting his flesh to equal the weight of the pigeon to give to the hawk. And one of the courtesans asked before King Meghrat started cutting, "Why don't we just go to a butcher shop?" King Meghrat replied, "Because regardless of the fact that if we go to a butcher shop, we're still committing ahimsa, or we're still cutting ahimsa, and the butcher is going to hurt another living being to get this prey." And so when the pigeon got onto the scale, because this was a test for King Meghrat, the scales were never evening. It was almost to a point where King Meghrat was going to give up his life, and the whole court started whispering, like, is the king just going to give up his life for an insignificant bird? But King Meghrat started meditating, and then both the hawk and the pigeon came back to their original forms, which is of devtas. And they realized that they were convinced that King Meghrat is indeed a merciful king on earth. And then later on, King Meghrat's soul became Shantinath Bhagwan. But this is kind of to say that he was able to give the pigeon shelter. He was able to give the pigeon, or the devta in the form of a pigeon, Abhay Dan, because he assured the pigeon that he would not be spared. Like, the pigeon's life would not be taken to satisfy this hawk's hunger. But the king was also merciful, because he didn't just let the hawk suffer either. And so kind of going off of that, one of the importances of Abhay Dan is connected to the importance of Badha. Badhas are like woes that we take for any span of time, whatever you feel is right for you. It could be for an hour, it could be for a day, it could be for a year, it could be for a lifetime. But by taking any sort of badha or woe, you're giving different jeeves abhayadan, you're letting them know that, hey, like, I am taking this woe to not eat meat for the rest of my life. And so you're giving those souls giving them shelter. You're giving them shelter from being scared that or fearful of you. But that is my presentation. Thank you for listening. And if I made any mistakes, Michhami Dukkadam.